funky beat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to Bhagavat Sravana. Hey, nice to see you. Hare Krishna. Welcome. We don't care about the snow people. Thank you for being here. Snow cannot stop bhakti. It can stop people from going outside, but not really stop bhakti. Okay. So I am neither Champakalanta nor Jaini Thai, but I'm going to be your friendly host for today. We will have our class for 1 hour, and then there will be Arti and Kirtan, followed by Shrina prayers and Prasadam. So stick around for the whole thing. So fresh off getting a Bhagavatam class yesterday morning, right? You're back for more today. He's what's the word I'm looking for? He likes, what is it?
Glutton for punishment?
He's a trooper. He's a what?
Glutton.
Glutton, that's what I'm looking for, yeah. But not punishment. He's a glutton for ecstasy. Thank you, Emily. Okay, so I'll just give a brief introduction here. Originally from Pune, India, Jagannath Gopal got his MS in computer science from SUNY Stony Brook. He is currently vice president at Goldman Sachs. He was initiated in 2022 by His Holiness Radhanath Swami. He loves memorizing verses and is a scholar of our scriptures. He and his wife do a lot of service here at Bhakti Center, including garlands, festival decorations, Bhagavatam classes, Gita Life classes, and much more. He also does a lot of service for 26 Second Avenue, right around the corner. Please welcome Jagannath Gopal.
So now I know why Jagannath Prabhu visited my LinkedIn. LinkedIn profile.
That was courtesy of Guru Kumar. But you're right.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear devotees, for coming today. And it's for some of you, it's too much of Jagannath Gopal for the weekend. But I hope we'll discuss something nice to uplift ourselves. We don't often talk about blessings because the opposite of curses is blessings, and there are so many instances in the scriptures, in the stories where there are blessings given out, right? So that is also there, but blessings are easy to digest in a way because they are good for us. It's good to have blessings, but curses are something tough to digest. And of course, we'll see how this applies to our own lives as well. So anyway, I'll just say some quick prayers. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurapishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Aptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vacharam pangum langhayate girim yatkripātamaham vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam. So Hare Krishna. The Vedic scriptures, especially the Puranas, they don't just give the message. They don't just give the message of spiritual life. They also form a context to that message. And understanding the context of the message is actually as important as understanding the message itself, actually. And often, these contexts that are given in the Puranas, in these stories, in the Vedas, they are very extreme. They are like very extreme. Like for example, the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is one of the most important scriptures of Bhakti. And the context for the Bhagavad Gita is that there is this topmost archer. First of all, there is this huge battle. It's probably the greatest battle ever fought. This was 5,000 years ago. And in this battle is one of the greatest warriors called Arjuna. And Arjuna, he's seen, and it's a fratricidal war. It's a war between actually cousins. And there is a lot of history behind that, where God himself, Krishna himself tries to go and mediate and tries to be the peace messenger. Still nothing works out. And they have to go to war. And so he sees this Arjuna, who is like the topmost archer. He sees his relatives, his cousins, his teacher, archery teacher, his grandfather on the other side, on the opposing army, and he loses all composure. He says, "How can I hit arrows to my cousins whom I grew up with, and my grandfather who took care of me, my guru who taught me archery? How can I hit arrows?" And then he loses all composure, and that's when Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita. So the context is very extreme, it's very urgent. So similarly, just like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam also, the context of Srimad Bhagavatam is very interesting. There is this, so Arjuna, to whom Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, his grandson, he was known as Maharaj Parikshit. So Parikshit, there is again a whole background story, but the way it happens is he's in the forest and he's survey. So he goes as a king. He does this where he goes and sees how his kingdom is, how the people are doing, and things like that. And as part of that, he goes to the forest, and then there he reaches the hermitage of a particular sage. And this sage is a very great sage again. And he's in meditation, he's sitting in meditation, and something occurs to Parikshit, this king, and he just takes a dead snake lying there. Or actually, he first goes and asks him for water, because going around in the forest, he's very thirsty. So he goes and he asks this rishi, this sage, for some water. But then the rishi, the sage, is meditating and he's completely in trance and he's oblivious of his surroundings. And now this is not such a great thing. I mean, but then something occurs. Something occurs in Parikshit, and he takes a dead snake. He apparently, gets angry. He takes a dead snake and he puts this snake on the neck of this meditating sage. And this sage, all the sage knows that this is a very great king, a very humble king, and Parikshit also knows that this is a very great sage, a very humble sage. But something occurs, and then this happens. He puts a dead snake around his neck, around the sage's neck. Now, but he's still in trance. The sage is still in trance, and then Parikshit moves on from there. But then this sage's son, called Shringi, he understands that his father has been, this king Parikshit put a dead snake around his father's neck, and he gets offended. He gets angry, and then he curses Maharaj Parikshit to die within 7 days. So that was the curse that this Brahmana child gives to this king of the world that time. So Parikshit is supposed to die in 7 days, and that is the context of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and then one of the first questions that, so Parikshit gets this curse, and we'll see internals, we'll try to go a little deep into, today's topic is curses, so we'll try to go deep into this curse that he received and things like that. So he goes to these sages, that's the picture we see. So when Parikshit understands that he's going to die, he goes to the sages, and then one of the first questions he asks to the sages is, what should a dying man do? What should be the duty of a dying man? What is the most important thing for a man who is supposed to die, who is going to die? But anyway, that is how the Bhagavatam begins, the Srimad Bhagavatam scriptures, and then there are 12 cantos, 12 big volumes of this book, and it was spoken by sage called Shukadev Goswami, who is sitting there on the chair, on the asana. So now I tried to go through the entire Bhagavatam, all 12 cantos, and I didn't read all that in a week. Of course, that's not possible for me. But yeah, I tried to search, and then these are the curses. Like in Bhagavatam, so this is like the outermost story in Bhagavatam where Parikshit is cursed and he's asking these questions to the sages and to Shukadev Goswami especially, and then they are Shukadev Goswami is giving him answers. And in the course of the narrations, all these curses come up. There are many stories in the Bhagavatam, and these are the curses that happen here. We'll not go into all these, but we'll try to extract some lessons out of all these. So yeah, like Jai Vijay cursed by the 4 Kumaras. So Jai Vijay they are actually the gatekeepers of the Vaikuntha, of the spiritual world. And these 4 Kumaras are sages again. They are 4 brothers who are always going around. They're 5-year-old, all like forever. So they, there is an exchange that happens, and then they curse. So they go to this gate of the spiritual world, these 4 sages, little sages, and then they want to see what's inside. And then Jai Vijay, who are the gatekeepers, they said, no, we can't allow you to go inside just like that. You need to have qualification, and the qualification is a love for Krishna, love for God. And then these 4 sages become angry, and then they curse Jai Vijay to fall onto the earth. And so yeah, there are many such stories. Lord Shiva is insulted by Daksha. Actually, Daksha is insulted by Lord Shiva. Then Daksha curses Lord Shiva, and then there is counter cursing and everything that happens. And then and some of these things are out of misunderstanding. Some of these things are out of we see the intentions behind these curses. Now, I just wanted to ask a question to all of you before we move ahead. What are the emotions do you think that are involved in curses? When curses happen, what are the emotions that you think are involved? Yes.
Ignorance, for sure.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Yeah, ignorance.
Well, it can be ignorance on the part of the person that's cursed, so it can be like someone was cursed because they were ignorant, or it can be that the person that was cursing was also ignorant. So it can be both ways.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There can, as you said, there can be misunderstanding. There can also be jealousy. That's another big one. Like if I've heard like the story of Indra, where Indra is king of the gods, and then he tries to put himself above Krishna because of jealousy. So that's a story where like there's cursing and counter cursing, and that's jealousy also. I'd say those are the two big ones.
Thank you. Jealousy, ignorance, anger, for sure, yes, anger. Yeah. So there is some emotional background to curses as well, right? Now, one thing about curses is when we read about curses, it's often very difficult to understand the proportionality of the curse. Like, for example, as your good name,
Sham.
As Sham mentioned, it could be just ignorance on the part of the recipient of the curse. You know, he just like you mentioned Indra. So there is a story where Indra, he's in his court. He's sitting, and there is dance going on. Indra is a very opulent king and very materially affluent. He's the king of the heaven and things like that. So he's sitting and then enjoying his throne, and his guru enters the palace, and then Indra doesn't pay respects to his guru, and the guru curses the demigods and Indra so that all their power is taken away. So then now it might feel, or in the case of, there is this another story of Gajendra. Gajendra is an elephant, and this elephant actually is a very divine elephant. He's put in a very extreme calamity, and then he's offering prayers to Vishnu. How can an elephant offer prayers to Vishnu? And there Sukadeva Goswami, he describes that in his past life, this elephant was a king, a very pious king, a very devoted king, devotee of Lord Vishnu. But then a sage called Agastya comes there, and then in his palace, and then not even in the palace, this Indradyumna king, he's performing austerity in the forest, and then this Agastya comes there, sage, and then he doesn't offer any. He's also in trance actually. He's meditating. King Indradyumna is meditating. Agastya comes there. Indradyumna doesn't offer respect to Agastya, and then Agastya is like, now if you're ignored, then one might think that the response to that would be ignorance. Like if we are ignored by somebody, then the fair, just response to it would seem like we ignore the other person, right? But in this case, Agastya Muni gave like an extreme curse to him. He said, because you did not offer me respect, you are a dull person. And you know who is dull? An elephant is a dull animal. So I curse you to become an elephant. Right? So this proportionality is something, it makes curses seem very unfair. Even in case of Parikshit Maharaj, so we see three things here, but the first one is proportionality. In case of Parikshit Maharaj, it's a very minor offense in one sense to put it's not even an offense, so to say, to put a dead snake around the sage's neck, and then he's cursed to die in 7 days. It's extreme actually. And we spoke about Gajendra and so many other stories. It's something really insignificant, and then the curse that comes is very. Now the sage around whose neck the snake was put by Parikshit, he didn't get as offended actually. Later on, when he comes out of his trance, he sees that okay, there is a snake, he just throws it away, and then he throws it away, and then somebody comes and tells him, you know what your son did? He cursed this king to die in 7 days, and then this sage is in tears. What have you done, my son? This is a horrendous thing you did. This is a very virtuous king, very humble king. He's a just ruler, and he must have done this out of whatever reason, but you didn't have to give such a big curse to him. So there's a lot of emotions involved later. Parikshit doesn't go to the sage because he doesn't want to embarrass the sage by reminding him that look what your son did. And then the sage also doesn't go to Parikshit because the sage doesn't want to rub on Parikshit's wounds. So it's a lot of emotions going on here. So that is one thing. The proportionality, it seems very unfair when it comes to curses, right? Uh, I, you know, person does something to another person, and then this he asks for forgiveness. Can you forgive me? And this other person says, I can forgive you, but I don't have any plans to. It's that's how it this anger, this emotion of anger, as many of you mentioned, it even if anger is rightly directed, it ends up making us do reckless things. So in any case, so that is one thing, the proportionality, right? Now the second thing is the intent. Now what happens is, now despite there being disproportionality in the cause for the curse, the intent also matters. Like for example, Shringi, this sage's son who cursed this king, the intent was revenge. He wanted to, he felt insulted, and he speaks very strong words. Who is this insignificant king? The Brahmanas are actually higher in the hierarchy than the administrators, the Kshatriyas. And who is this insignificant king to insult my father in this way? So I curse. So that anger, that sense of revenge is there. On the other hand, there is this example, again, this story comes of two celestial beings called Nalakuvera and Manigriva. So these two celestial beings they are sporting in water, just enjoying, gratifying their senses, and in a lake in the heavenly worlds. And then the sage Narada, everyone knows Narada sage, so he comes there, and these two celestial beings, they don't offer respect to Narad Muni. Now Narad Muni curses them. Narad Muni also curses them, but then that is also disproportionate in a sense if you see. But then the intent behind Narad Muni to curse them is reformation. So there can be an intent of revenge, or there can be an intent of reformation when a curse happens, right? And especially when your devotee of Krishna is involved in a curse, then the outcome is most often a good outcome, because the pure devotee of Krishna, whatever they do, so the will of a pure devotee of Krishna is in sync with the will of Krishna. So a pure devotee is supremely compassionate, just like Krishna is. So even though something that is like an externally a curse, but that ends up reforming, that is actually with the intention to reform the person involved in the curse. So that is the intent. Right? And then, sometimes even the intent, we can't understand the intent, okay? It is disproportionate, but okay, at least there might be good intent. But sometimes there is not even any good intent, like in case of Shringi, there was no good intent also, right? So then, that's the third, Lord's plan. So the Lord's plan is involved. So there is this another nice story where there is this king called Chitraketu. And this Chitraketu is a liberated soul. He's a pure devotee of Krishna. He has got the direct audience of Lord Sankarshan, one of the forms of Krishna. And one day he's going on a plane in the heavenly worlds, and he sees Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is sitting in an assembly like this, and he has his wife on his lap, Mother Parvati. And then seeing this, Chitraketu, he laughs loudly. Ha 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 ha! Who other than Lord Shiva can do such a thing? Right? So his intention is not to criticize or blaspheme Lord Shiva, but his intention is that of wonder. His emotion is that of wonder. In the sense that he's saying, he's thinking, who is greater than Lord Shiva? Only Lord Shiva can do such a thing, that he can maintain his purity even by having his wife on the lap and speaking to an audience about a spiritual message, right? But what happens is that time he says this, and then everybody falls silent. Oh my God, what has this guy done? And then everybody is silent, and Lord Shiva, being Vaishnavanam Yathashambhu, he is known as the greatest devotee it describes in the Bhagavatam. He knows the mood behind Chitraketu's words, and then he also is silent. But one person who gets really offended by that is his wife, Mother Parvati. And when she gets offended, she curses this Chitraketu. And her curse is you fall to the material world and you become a demon. And that demon is known as Vritrasur. And it's again a beautiful story. And it says in the purports that the Lord's plan was that Chitraketu be cursed by Mother Parvati to become Vritrasur so that he could quickly return home back to Godhead. So these three factors are there. The proportionality is not matching, and then there is the intent. Sometimes the intent is, especially when a devotee is involved in the curse exchange, that time the intent is often noble. It's about reformation rather than revenge. And then there is the Lord's plan as well. There could be other aspects of seeing it, but yeah. Any comments, questions so far? Yes.
None of the, when you are talking about all of these, it's hard for me to understand how they're curses, right? Because then, when we get, Richasor, and it's a beautiful story, and then we all learn from it. But also, the Lord wanted him to come back home quicker,
Yeah.
So it almost seems like these are all blessings. Jai Vijay were cursed, and but in those 3 lifetimes, the Lord personally came with each one of them, and then so it just seems like. Pariksha, we get the Bhagavatam, and he surrenders, and I don't know, I always, this is such an interesting topic, but I have a really hard time understanding how they're curses when it's kind of a blessing in disguise for all of these stories that you mentioned.
So they're curses in the sense that, for that time being, something got taken away from them. So what is a curse eventually? A curse is something that, something is taken away from a person. That is a curse. So there is that temporary, so to say, an inconvenience. There is that temporary, I don't know, misintegration. Like for example, Vritrasur, he was born in a demon's body. Although yes, he's a pure devotee, Paramahamsa, but then he has to fight against the demigods. He has to fight against the demigods who are devotees of Vishnu, right? So it's a tough thing for. So it's you're right. These curses eventually are actually blessings in disguise. But for that particular period of time when the curse is acting, it's an inconvenient place to be for that soul who's there. So in that sense, yeah. But we'll come to that. We'll come to how we can try to at least begin to convert a curse into a blessing. Thank you for bringing that point. Really nice. Yes, Prabhu.
Just adding on to that, we often see that the way the curses play out, it often becomes like a catalyst for tremendous growth in spiritual life.
Yes. Yeah. So it becomes a catalyst for growth, provided that the people involved have the right attitude. Because there is this another story in the where was I think 4th canto, I forgot. Yeah, Lord Shiva being cursed by Daksha. So what happens here is, so this is also an interesting story. So they are performing a yajna, they are performing a sacrifice, and this Daksha, he's a progenitor of mankind, a very high place to be. So he enters this place, and then everyone is sitting in that yajna, in that sacrificial arena. And then as soon as he enters, everybody stands up to pay respects to him, to Daksha. But then Lord Shiva, he doesn't stand up because he knows his own position. And then although he does have respect for Daksha in the form of Daksha's daughter is his wife actually, he's Lord Shiva's wife. So he does have that respect, that love for Daksha, but he doesn't show it externally. And that really displeases Daksha. And then Daksha says, your Lord Shiva, actually it means auspiciousness, but you're actually an embodiment of inauspiciousness. You go to the crematorium, you put all the ashes on your body and this and that, very huge allegations. It's true, but he portrays them in a very negative way. And then Daksha curses Lord Shiva that whatever sacrifices happen to the gods, you will not get a share of that. And then seeing Daksha curse Lord Shiva, one of Lord Shiva's personal associates, Nandishvara, he becomes angry. He curses the Brahmanas. He curses the Brahmanas, saying that how can you curse Lord Shiva? I curse that you have to go door to door, beg alms, and you will be atheists and things like that. And then the Brahmanas, they get angry on this, they counter curse God. So that thing happens. So yes, it is a catalyst for growth, provided that there is the right attitude involved, and we'll see what that is. Right? But anyway, moving forward. So these are some things about some aspects of the curses, right? Now for us, we normally don't find ourselves on the receiving end of curses per se. Right? Like nobody will curse us. I curse you that you will never get a subway train anymore. Such things don't happen for us. And in Kali Yuga, there is Kali Yuga is considered the Iron Age. So the spiritual qualification of the people in Kali Yuga is not that high that something that comes out of one's mouth becomes truth immediately. So we don't get curses, but what we do experience in our lives is curse-like situations. Situations in our lives that seem like curses, that are very difficult, adversities, calamities, and things like that. So Chaitanya Sharan Prabhu, one of my revered teachers, he says that an adversity can be because of three things. Right? An adversity can be because of a calamity. It is not in our control. A calamity happens, it happens. Adversity can be because of atrocity. Somebody is trying to really harm us, and that is why, or put impediments in our way. That is why adversity happens. And then another reason which he says, I'm trying to think of a milder word to say this, but he says stupidity. Adversity can happen because of our own wrong decisions. Right? So there are three levels to it. But in any case, adversities do happen for us, and we don't get curses like these individuals in Bhagavatam, they do. And one thing here is the Bhagavad Gita, it describes this world, Krishna describes this material world as Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. So he says this world is full of misery, Dukhalayam, and full of temporariness, Ashashvatam. Now often there is an allegation against Vedic teachings that, you guys portray a very pessimistic view of the world. This whole thing is temporary, illusion, this and that. But the genuine spiritual teachers, they teach us that far from being a pessimistic worldview, it is meant for us to manage our expectations. It is meant for us to not have unrealistic expectations from the world. Okay. So based on the examples of Srimad Bhagavatam that we just discussed, there are certain things we can do to face curse-like situations in our life. Of course, these are not very profound things, these are very simple things, and most of you probably already know it, but it's good to discuss and we can try to go deeper into them as well. So this is an acronym called FACT, okay? And this is in no particular order, but I just wanted to do something cool so that it sounds cool, so I did FACT, okay? So F means face, okay? Face the situation. Now, often what hurts us more, what affects us more is not reality itself, but our resentment of that reality. That's what hurts us more than the reality itself. Again, something that Chaitanya Charan Prabhu often says. And Shri Radha Mali Bhagavan. So, face the adversity, face the situation is in the sense that we don't need to circumvent the situation. Like there is another story in this regard. There is a king called Yayati, and this story comes in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Yayati, and again there is a whole background which I will not get into, but he gets cursed by his father-in-law to lose his youth, to become an old man. Now Yayati, he has all these desires in him, and he wants to exercise those desires, but now he's not young anymore. So he wants to circumvent that. He wants to circumvent that curse, and so he goes to all of his sons. Each of his sons, he asks them. So what happens is this father-in-law curses Yayati, and then Yayati is actually apologetic, and then the father-in-law says, "I've already, the train has left the station. I've given you the curse. Now I can't do anything about it. But what I can do is I'll make it such a way that you can exchange your old age with anyone's youth." So then naturally this Yayati, he goes to his sons, and then many of his sons, they refuse, and then one of his sons, he agrees. So he actually exchanges his youth for his. He gives his youth to his father. So one thing that what I understood after hearing all these stories and all the Vaishnavas that I heard from is we should try to face the situation and accept whatever it is, and that requires a level of humility also. And for example, when Chitraketu was cursed by Mother Parvati to fall down as Vritrasura, as the demon, so he actually wholeheartedly accepted it. He accepted it as a corrective measure from a mother. Like as a mother, so mothers often they punish us. What is that called? They give us time off. No, what is that? Grounded. Yeah, they ground you, right? So like that. So he sees it like that. Something like a mother is doing me for my own reformation. So he accepts it. Similarly, this Indradyumna also, who became an elephant in his next life, he also accepts Agastya Muni's curse. You're a great sage, so if you are giving me a curse, that means it's the will of the Lord. So I accept it. So that way we can try to face. Now, again, this is easier said than done, I agree. But at least we don't have to circumvent and there is fight and flight mode. So extremes are not conducive. Like if for example that story, right, of Daksha and Shiva, curse counter curse. That is also like to an extreme of fighting, and then the flight extreme is also not conducive. So we can try to face the situation in whatever way we can, do the needful and carry forward. Now, but it's often very difficult to merely accept, an adversity, to merely face an adversity, unless we appreciate. Appreciate what? We appreciate the abilities that we already have. We appreciate that all the gifts that we already have, and we appreciate, most importantly, the opportunity to serve, the opportunity to practice spiritual life, the opportunity to connect to Krishna. And in this case, there is a story again. Is it becoming too many stories? I don't want you guys to lose context, but yeah. So Amrish is another very great king, a very pure devotee of the Lord. And he happens to, there is again a misunderstanding, and there is this sage called Durvasa. Now Durvasa, this sage, he is actually well known for giving out curses. So he, something happens and he gets angry soon, and then he gives out curses. So Amrish has invited Durvas or I think Durvas reaches there. I don't know how it happens, but they happen to meet. And then now Amrish, he has been fasting for 1,000 years. So he is doing a particular fast, which is for 1,000 years, which we don't have to do. Prasadam will be there for us in the end of this. So he's fasting, and then so this sage comes, Durvas Muni, and then so the etiquette is that if a sage like this comes during a fast, then you let the sage break the fast, and then you break the fast. So that's what Amrish wants to do. But then Durvasa, he says, I'll go and bathe in the river before I break my fast. And then he goes to the river and he doesn't come back for a long time. And now the fast breaking time is passing. It's time that the fast needs to be broken. And then Amrish, he does something which breaks the fast also and doesn't break the fast also at the same time. He has Charanamrit. So there is Charnamrit over here, we can all partake of the Charnamrit, very spiritually potent. So he partakes Charnamrit. Charnamrit is like breaking the fast because you consume something, but at the same time it's not breaking the fast. So but when Durvasa comes back and finds out that this is what Amrish has done, he becomes very angry. And then he becomes angry and then he curses Amrish Maharaj to die. He actually generates a creature and then that creature is supposed to kill Amrish. But then the story so happens that Amrish, being a pure devotee of Krishna, the Sudarshan disc of Krishna is always protecting him. So then the Sudarshan disc is like, what the hell, who is this coming and trying to harm my Lord's devotee? And then this Sudarshan disc completely smashes this creature created by Durvasa Muni. And then this Sudarshan Chakra, he starts running behind Durvasa Muni to kill him. Or Durvasa Muni is in a panic mode. What should I do? What should I do? Because he knows he has no way out. So it is said that he goes to many planets in the entire creation. He goes to Lord Narayan himself and everything. Finally, he understands that there is nothing I can do other than beg forgiveness from Amrish himself. So he comes back, he begs forgiveness. Now, how did Amrish show appreciation for the opportunity to serve? How did Amrish do that? This entire year when Durvasa is going to all these places, Amrish actually doesn't eat anything out of respect, out of a mood of service to Durvasa. And when Durvasa comes back, he welcomes him with open arms and then they sit and have prasadam together. So that is, the appreciate the opportunity to serve. So whatever adversity we may be put in, our free will is not something that can be taken away. So we are products of circumstances, but more than that, we are products of free will also, of our choices. So at any given point of time, the choice to connect to Krishna, the choice to be with Vaishnavas, the choice to chant the holy names is always there with us. So you can appreciate that. Then when we have that appreciation, then what do? We call out. That is the C. We call out to the Lord, we call out to the devotees, and this means taking shelter of the Lord. Right? And this is again that same example of Parikshit Maharaj. When he got the curse to die in 7 days, he went and approached the sages. He asked, what should I do? What is the dharma? What is the duty of a person who is about to die in 7 days? So like that we can seek shelter of devotees. And this is something for me personally that has worked a lot. And I often bother my mentors for that. I express to them, I seek solutions, or sometimes we just need to be heard. So when we call out to Krishna, when we call out to our spiritual well-wishers, then that helps. So that is calling out. And then finally, all this, despite doing all this, despite facing the situation in the best way we can, despite appreciating whatever we do have, and despite calling out to Krishna, calling out to our well-wishers, still the situation won't go away. Because there are certain situations that won't go away, and that we have to tolerate. You have to tolerate. And what does tolerate mean? The word tolerance has a very negative connotation in the sense that somehow I am tolerating, right? So if I get hurt and it pains, tolerating that pain means I am, not crying or not reacting to the pain. But more than not reacting to the negativities that come out of a situation, tolerance is to carry on with our purpose in life despite those inconveniences. So that is what tolerance is. And the person that I wanted to say talk about here is Vritrasur, Chitraketu, Mother Parvati, the person whom Mother Parvati cursed, and he became a demon, Vritrasur. So he was in a demon's body in this earth, and it describes in the Bhagavatam that there is a great battle, and he's fighting against Indra and other devotees, and so he's tolerating that situation. He's tolerating that situation of being in a demon's body in that way. So again, as I mentioned earlier, that our free will can't be taken away, that choice can't be taken away. So despite whatever inconveniences is. Again, it's easier said than done. Just yesterday we were discussing about one particular individual who is in a very, very difficult state. and in that state, it's very difficult for her to call out to Krishna. And I mean, we can speak about tolerance. We can, I can sit here and speak about it, and we can nod about it. But then when it comes to practice, it's very difficult to do. So, and that connection is the key. If we keep connecting to Krishna. And one more thing about appreciation that I forgot to mention here is appreciating the teachings of the Shastras, appreciating the teachings that we receive in our spiritual life. And the way we appreciate them is to really go deep. It's not merely about memorizing verses. It's not merely about achieving wonderful things, and ultimately we have to try to go deep and try to see how it applies to our own lives, and try to see how that shelter we can access at all times. So yeah, these are the facts. So so when we try to do these things at whatever level we can, we will see, as Mataji mentioned, that the curse-like situation turns into a blessing. And as you rightly mentioned, in case of Parikshit Maharaj, that curse actually gave rise to Srimad Bhagavatam. In case of Vritrasur, that curse actually, he's glorified now. He's glorified in the scriptures forever. And it's interesting, he's a demon, and it's not that he is not doing justice to his duties as a demon. He's doing justice to his duties as a demon, fighting very valiantly against the gods. And then at one point, he's fighting so valiantly that the gods try to flee, they try to run away. And then he's actually reminding the gods their duty to fight. So he's telling Indra, don't just go away as a coward, come and fight with me. That is your dharma, do it. So that is the level of blessing, this curse-like situation turning into a blessing. And then Amrish Maharaj, right, who got cursed, and then by Durvasa Muni, and then eventually he also gets saved by Sudarshan. He's the exemplar of all the 9 processes of devotional service. Bhakti or devotional service has 9 processes: chanting, hearing, remembering, and so on. There are 9 of them. And Amrish Maharaj is an exemplar of all these 9 processes. So it's amazing. So how these curse-like situations, when we have the right attitude, when we have the right devotional attitude, they turn into blessings. So yeah, I mean, that's all I had to discuss. And I was told by someone that I should leave 15 minutes for Q&A or discussions or anything. So yeah, if there's any feedback, discussions, questions, please. Yes, ma'am.
Any example, because we heard so many good stories of people where the personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam who turn their curses into blessings because they had the right attitude. Is there any story of someone who didn't take it very well and it didn't turn into a blessing for them, the opposite way? I don't know, I'm just curious. I'm sorry if I don't know off the top of your head.
Let me think about it. Yeah, not that I know of in scriptures. Not that I know of in scriptures. Yeah. If anyone wants to add to that, any examples of stories where curses did not turn into? Yes, Sham.
So in the story of King Parikshit obviously took the curse well. It gave rise to the Srimad Bhagavatam. But there were some people of his in the palace that didn't. So once he laid the curse, from what I'm told, once he laid the snake around the sage's neck, and then the sage cursed him, there were some people in the palace. There was this very powerful man that decided to initiate a ritual which burned all the snakes in the country. He was about to just gather all the snakes towards the fire. He lit the incense, lit the ghee, and he was about to burn down all the snakes in the country. And so I think that's maybe an example of someone. Parikshit actually took it well. Parikshit didn't Parikshit was actually not for this. He was saying please stop. But and after a while it did stop because Parikshit demanded it to stop. But I think that might be an example of someone of his that didn't really take it well. He got super, super angry.
Thank you, Sham. Yeah, I mean, on a one level, if you see externally, the curse is a curse. It's miserable. Takshaka did come and bite the body of Parikshit and burned him. But then on an external level. But then by that time, Parikshit was so in ecstasy, he was completely detached from his body that it didn't really affect him. So, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, another thing is in Shastras, Shastras speak about the examples which I guess the good choice, where devotees made a good choice, where the individuals involved made a good choice. And I guess one of the aims of the Shastras is if you make this good choice, then this is what will happen, is to demonstrate that. So in that sense, but I'm just thinking if there is anyone. Yeah, let me think more about it. If I get reminded of anything, I'll let you know. Any other discussions, comments, questions? Any other curses, stories about curses? Okay, let's do a little churning here. Any other stories of curses in other than Bhagavatam, or any other story that you do know where somebody was cursed and then that curse became a blessing, or yes, bro.
The Ramacharita talks about Katpushandiji, the crow.
About whom?
Katpushandiji, the crow.
Sorry, come again.
The Ramayana talks about the crow.
Crow. Okay, yeah. Can you elaborate on that story, bro?
From what I vaguely remember, the crow originally was a human who had offended Lord Shiva in a certain way, and his guru, so Lord Shiva became very angry and had cursed him, but through the guru's grace, I feel like there was, the curse was like tempered a little bit, but he was changed into a crow. But in that form, he did a lot of devotion, and ultimately decided to stay in that form because it's through that form which he kind of became a devotee. And it is said that he's one of the few entities that survives various cycles of creation and destruction with all those.
Nice, thank you. Speaking of Ramayana, there is one more story where we all know Hanuman, Lord Hanuman. He's a great devotee of Lord Ram. So it is said that in his childhood, he was very powerful to begin with, and as a kid, he thought that the sun is a cake or something. Yeah. What? Mango, yeah. The sun is a mango, and then he started flying towards the sun to eat the sun, and then he went closer, and then the sun god realized that okay, this is not happening. So the sun god, or maybe the guards, they perceived a threat, and then it so happened that he gets hit on the chin or something. So that the Surya Dev, he hits him, and then because Hanuman happens to be the son of Vayu, the demigod of air, Vayu becomes offended. How can somebody do this to my son? So then, Chaitanya Prabhu puts it that Hanuman has a celestial parentage and also a terrestrial parentage. So celestial parentage, so Hanuman is one of the cases of a child who one of his parents is a celestial being, demigod, and one of his parents is an earthly being. So then Hanuman, that's why he has all these powers. So then Hanuman is injured and then he's lying unconscious, and then Vayu becomes the demigod of air becomes very angry, and then he starts taking away the air of the entire universe. Everybody is breathless, what to do. We can't discuss Bhagavat Sravana and things like that. So then all the gods, they suggest to Vayu that, please, give back the supply of air and we give benedictions to this child. So then all the gods, they give many nice benedictions to the child, to Hanuman, and he becomes very powerful. But then what he does is, because he's a child and every child is very mischievous in a particular phase, my son is right now, so I can say that with experience. So he was very naughty and mischievous, so he started troubling the sages who were performing yajnas. And then because he was doing that, the sages thought, okay, this kid, he's cute and all, but he's just creating a nuisance. So then they cursed him. They cursed him saying that you will forget all your powers. You will forget all your powers, but you will remember them. You will be reminded of them when the time is right. And then he is reminded of his powers later on, after many years, after he grows up to be an adult, when they go to search Mother Sita, and then they are on the. So there is this vulture who tells them that Mother Sita is on the other side of this ocean, and you can go there to find Mother Sita. But then all the Vanaras, so he's all with an army of monkeys that time, and then they become very happy. Okay, now we have located Mother Sita, and then they look at the ocean, and all their happiness goes down. So then, because it's a huge ocean, the Indian Ocean, and who can jump, and then everybody starts, pitching in. Then Angad says, "I can jump." So Angad is again one of the Vanaras. He's a very strong Vanara. He says, "I can jump, but I can't come back. I can't jump back. So that I cannot do," he says. Because they have to go back, they have been given a time frame. It's not that Angad can go there, rest nicely for a few days, relax and then come back. No. They have a time frame within which they have to go back and report to their kingdom. So then Jambavan is another very old Vanara. He says, when I was young, I could jump across the entire earth. But now I'm old and frail, now I can't do it. Then people pitch in, and then finally Hanuman is the one who is silent. He's not saying anything. And at that time Jambavan reminds him of his powers. And then it is said that when we are told about our abilities, something that we don't know that we possess, then we start becoming happy. We start feeling happy that okay, I have this ability. Nice. So then when Jambavan is telling Hanuman his abilities, his powers, so Hanuman is not only happy internally, but that happiness is showing in his size. So he's becoming bigger and bigger in size. So by the time Jambavan finishes telling his powers, he's looking up like this to Hanuman. So then and then Hanuman jumps, and it's a long story. But yeah, that is one example where curse happened, and then it turned into a blessing when someone reminded him of the abilities. So, any other thoughts? Yes, Shama.
One more story. This is quite a famous story. But when Hanuman did jump across to the other side, and he was the one that successfully found Sita, then can you remind me who is the king of Lanka?
Ravana.
Ravana, the 16-headed guy or whatever. But he then put this huge wooden barrel around Hanuman's tail and set fire on Hanuman. But that actually ended up becoming a blessing. I forget exactly what he did, but I think Hanuman's tail, which was set on fire, enabled him to burn down Lanka. Like he took his tail, and by putting his tail to the ground in the center of Ravana's palace, the whole thing of Lanka erupted in flames. So that was also a curse. Like Ravana kind of cursed him, but then it ended up actually saving Sita. So.
Thank you. Jaydev, you were going to say.
First I wanted to thank you very much for a really wonderful presentation. I came a little bit late, but it was very deep and very inspiring. And also, I appreciated how you were talking about we might not get powerful curses like they got in the Bhagavatam, but we get curse-like experiences, or we may feel like, God, I must have been cursed, or someone cast a spell on me, or something like that, or the planetary systems are not in alignment. So it was nice that you put that in perspective. And I was thinking on this point that was asked by Braj Toshi, that, are there stories of people who got cursed and didn't? And I was kind of trying to rack my brain. I can't think of any. And then I was thinking, yeah, maybe that's because the Bhagavatam isn't about us focusing on people who got cursed and didn't see it the right, but actually that they were all seeing Krishna's hand in it somehow. And someone gave class recently, I think it was Kuruni Maipuru, and he talked about providence and how we see providence. Often you hear in the Shastra and Scripture oh, it's just providence, providence, providence. And often we may think providence just means fate, some random fate that's come upon me. But actually the dictionary definition of providence is more or less the hand of God, the will of God. So if we are able to see the hand of God, then it may not look good in the interim, but in the end, kind of like the mode of goodness, it may not feel good in the beginning, but in the end it all works out. Anyway, but I really appreciate your class and delivered very nicely and nice slides. You're very well spoken and presented and very deep person, so I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Tastes like poison.
Yeah. Mode of passion is nectar in the beginning and poison in the end, and mode of goodness is poison in the beginning and nectar in the end. Well, I had another thought. Sorry, I'm kind of monopolizing, but you got a few minutes. And just
Yes.
I'm trying to help you out. One thought came to mind that although we see that curses can become blessings, it doesn't mean that we should think, let me go around and start cursing devotees. And then we can tell them, that's my blessing to you. So, or maybe you could share some realization on that if you have any.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, so this is something really interesting I heard. So we are not qualified to curse anyone, right? Definitely, but we could make our lives, we could make others' lives difficult. So I heard this recently that one sannyasi, a very well-known sannyasi in the movement, he did a japa workshop.
You what?
A japa workshop, chanting workshop.
Okay.
So a workshop meant to improve our chanting, improve the quality of our chanting and everything. And then after the japa workshop, one lady goes to him and says, Maharaj, amazing workshop, and you mentioned that we should chant these many rounds and we should chant with quality. So do you think that if I do that, I'll be protected from the world? Then Maharaj said, yes, you will be protected from the world, and the world will be protected from you. So it's, yeah, as you rightly mentioned, it's not in our purview to make someone's life difficult in the name of purifying them, or in the name of making it seem as if it's a blessing in disguise and things like that. Krishna will do it. Krishna is his workings are very divine. It says the mills of God grind slow, but they grind really fine. So he's working everywhere. So he will create certain situations which will end up testing us. But yeah, and as a sadhaka, we need to develop qualities like humility, compassion, and those. It's a long list of qualities, but humility is the beginning. Humility and gratitude are like the fountainhead of all those good qualities that come out as part of the spiritual practice. So yeah, with that humble mood, it's not really becoming of us if we deliberately try to do something. If we do it unknowingly, then that's a different thing. Then once we do realize it, we can go and apologize. And so that is also one of the things that Chaitanya Gopal mentions in very AAA. So AAA. First is acknowledge that we made a mistake unknowingly. Second is apologize, and the third is amend. So we do try to do things to amend our wrongdoings. So, but thank you for bringing that point up.
What I heard is that I don't know when devotees started to preach in Argentina, but at one point the government of Argentina they decided we don't want these Hare Krishna people around. So they were persecuting the devotees. I believe that was when Prabhupada was around. So Prabhupada told Vidayananda Maharaj, he sent all the devotees from Argentina to come to New York City. That was around the time when they were building on 55th Street. That's why you get, I don't know how many Argentinian devotees, but basically in those days it was just devotees that just rent the house. So then I heard that when it happened, Hidayat Maharaj did that. He shipped all the books, the Spanish books from, and they left the country altogether. Then what I heard is that Hidayat Maharaj, he did a curse on the Argentinian government. I don't know how that works, but I'm told that what you have to do is you take your thread, your Brahmana thread, and you focus on thread and you break your Brahmana thread. So that's what I heard. If anyone wants to check, you have to check with Hidayat Maharaj, and you can't get access to it anyways. So then what happened was, in '83, they had the Falklands War, and Great Britain defeated Argentina in that war.
That's far out. Next round of applause for Jagannath Gopal. We're going to do RT now. So Jagannath Gopal who will lead us in RT, and stick around for Shiva prayers and Prashadam. It's going to carry it away. All right.
Well.
Nirvana Shri Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Brajbhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Purushottam Kshetra Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatt Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatt Dasa Raghunath Chad Goswami Prabhu ki Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Guru Shishya Sampradaya ki Itai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Thank you all for coming to Bhagavat Sravana today. Bhagavat Sravana is here every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock with Kirtan and the Bhagavatam related class, followed by Prashadam. So just before we get Prashadam, we'll only a couple of announcements here. There will be a Japa workshop with Jaini Tai Prabhu That's Saturday the 25th. Is that next Saturday?
Yeah.
Next Saturday, the 25th. That's right here. Oh, no, it's upstairs in 5W from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. It's a 2-hour workshop, 2 to 4 next Saturday afternoon, 5W. And then we will be observing the appearance day of Advaita Charya Prabhu. That will be on Tuesday, February 4th. And that is here in the temple room from 7:15 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon to observe the appearance of Advaita Charya, with a lot of events coming up leading up to Gaur Purnima. Was it also in February? Yeah? Is it March or February? March, beginning of March. Okay, so now Prashadam is being served in the back of the temple hall. I just want to thank one more time Jagannath Gopal Prabhu ki wonderful presentation, really interesting topic of these curses. I always wondered about that myself, the curses, because I'm like, these people are the Bhagavatam, why are they cursing everybody? I thought they had love in their hearts, why are they cursing? And after some meditation on it, I realized it's actually cool that they're cursing people, because it shows that we're not dealing with just like cartoon characters that you can make perfect. They're people. They're people, and they go through a range of human emotion. So therefore, sometimes they curse people out of their emotional experiences. And even Parikshit Maharaj, who's an exalted devotee, right? Still, he has moments where he gets a little flustered and he puts the snake on that around the sage's neck, you know? So we're dealing with real people in the scriptures, and they can teach us real life lessons for today, as you pointed out, and I thank you for doing so beautifully. All right, Hare Krishna, everybody. Please honor Prashadam back. Hare Krishna.